This is the Voice of the Land podcast with your hosts, Kevin Arnold and Nick Paulus.
But we are here to talk about sports, and somebody that is gaining some notoriety in this town in a polarizing type way is Collin Sextons of the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I know that you guys on the Next Level have had a lot of conversations about him, and the city of Cleveland seems to be debating because he was brought in originally as the 8th pick, people looking at him as a point guard. But from what you can see, he's more of a scorer, and he over the last 5 games, he has scored over 25 points in 4 of those 5, and in 3 of those 4 games, it's been over 30, and he just scored his another career high, 41 a couple nights ago. What do you see out of Collin Sextons? What type of player do you see him being for the future of this team?
He's a scorer. He's a guy that you can count on to get you at least 20 every night, and that's a positive thing. I also look at him as he's coachable. There aren't enough fans and people in the Twitter sphere that understands that he has grown, right? When he got drafted, what was the knock? He can't shoot.
Yeah.
Hey, he can shoot.
Yeah.
Now, right? Like, he's not Steph
Shot
Curry.
40% last year, 38, 39% now from 3.
Which
so.
not bad at all.
No,
right?
absolutely.
It was the guy, he can't shoot. Then it turned into, well, he doesn't pass. And he does put blinders on at times. But working with JB Bickerstaff, who he's worked with the entire time that JB has been there, like, he's now starting to develop that, starting to look for his teammates, and you can see it. The guys don't always make the shots when he passed to him.
I was just going to say that.
Right.
A lot of times, we saw, Chetty, a couple other times out there, he's passing to the right person, wide open, just missing it. Delhi the other night, 0 for 8, 0 for 5 from 3.
So we were in the media room after the game, and somebody made the comment, man, the Cavs backcourt scored 41 points. It was because Delhi didn't score.
Right.
And Collin did. He is. What's funny is, like, I like Collin. If I was to put my fan hat on, I'm probably more of like a Kevin Porter fan.
Sure,
You guys know I love Jetty, even though he's having a tough year this year. But when I see, like, somebody being unfairly criticized, it makes me want to have their back, and that's what it's been with Collin for me, because I don't understand it. I don't know how you can watch this guy develop, and as hard as he plays, and I know guys.
He's the hardest worker out there.
Yeah,
he really is.
And I know guys shouldn't get pats on the back for playing hard all the time,
right?
But it's a novelty, especially in the NBA.
Yeah.
And he plays hard, whistle to whistle. He works hard after practice. Like
17 and 45 now, and he's out there doing it like it's 0-0 beginning of the year.
Right.
Every time.
Right. All the time. That's just his nature. That's what he is. He works hard. He has to be told, like, bro, sit down somewhere, like calm down. And that's a positive. That's a good thing. I get frustrated when I see people not embracing that and trying to reject it and go, oh, move him to the bench and play Darius and this and that. And, I think Garland will be great. I think KP will be great. Even Dylan Windler, who we haven't had a chance to see. I think the Cavs have a bright future with their young guys, but I don't know why people just don't want to give Collin the credit he deserves.
I think people just get so trapped up in their mindset. They make one hot take and then they got to roll with it.
Yeah.
It's like the Colin Cowherd, thought process where it's like, hey, I already said Baker sucks. We're going to roll with Baker sucking. Right. And then you capitalize on those moments that they do.
But when he does it, you got to
41 points the other night, and they're like, he had they lost. He didn't make the right pass. And it's like, no, he's getting so much better. And you got to be able to look at that from, that mindset that he's a second-year player. He's 20 years old, 21 years old?
21, yeah.
It's just impossible what he's doing, especially with 4 head coaches over the last 24 months.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
And, like, the other thing that frustrates me, you brought it up, where, like, people go, they make this proclamation at the start of someone's career, and they don't want to back off of it.
Right.
People are wrong all the time.
All the time.
Yeah. All the time. Everybody in the media who gives an opinion is wrong at some point. So just own it and go, man, I blew that one.
Right.
I blew that one. Hey, as one of the things I don't hesitate to do. I thought Cody Kessler would be a decent quarterback. Wrong.
Right.
Wrong. Not even close. So, like, it's all right. And what's funny is people who don't really have, nobody's keeping score.
Yeah.
But people think they are. So if you're on Twitter and you got a following on Twitter and you're making, this guy's this and this guy's that, nobody's keeping score, and if they do, tell them to shut up.
Right.
Like, just go like, whatever, bro, you were wrong too, about whatever. And it's part of the media thing. They tell you, well, it's either left or right, it's either black or white, it's no middle,
gray.
Yeah, Munch used to say to me, don't straddle the fence, you'll hurt the boys. And which I respect Munch. And Red Guy was another guy that told me, like, no, Emmett, you got to pick one or the other. You can't straddle the fence. And like I said, I respect those guys. I can't even, tell you how much I respect them. Can't quantify it, but I disagree. There's too much gray in the world. There's too much gray in the world. So sometimes I don't know. And I'm not afraid to say that. I know it goes against everything kind of sports talk radio was built upon. But I think
you got to have those hot takes. I mean, you have to.
I'll have a hot take once in a while.
Yeah.
If you listen to ESPN radio, I've been on this Tom Brady to Cleveland for like 2 weeks now. It's not picking up steam, but
not quite, not yet. Not yet.
Once in a while, I'll throw a hot take out there, but I also go like, bro, I don't know. I'm not a mind reader. I have no idea.
Right, and that's what we started with this podcast too, was we knew that we weren't going to have like a hot take or be debating every single time. I mean, Paulus and I
think the hottest thing that we ever got into over was last year whenever the Indians were struggling. I think they were 14 games back from the Twins, and at that point in time I said, if by the All-Star break they don't break it to like 7 or 8, with the Twins, you got to look at selling Frankie. Right. And he jumped on me for 20 straight minutes. It was like, no, you can't do it. Like going crazy with it.
Sounds like good content.
It was good content. It was good content. I actually went back and heard it again this past week. I was listening to it. I was like, that was pretty good.
I mean, even with me and Gerard, like we're best friends.
Right.
We love each other, and we don't argue hardly at all. Every once in a while we do,
right?
And it makes for good radio.
Absolutely.
When two guys or girls, whatever, are on the opposite side of a topic, and they both know what they're talking about. They're both making points. It's definitely entertaining.
But you got to go with what you don't want to go opposite just because you can go opposite.
Right.
You want to be able to tell the truth and just tell it like it is.
Right. Like I can't do that. I can't take the other side just to take
to do it.
Right.
Because I can't argue something I don't really care about.
Right.
I'll be terrible at it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, you're a stupid face.
Yeah.
Hey, that's what I'd end up going to if I didn't really care about it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's early episodes where I tried that, and it didn't work.
It doesn't work. You can hear it.
Yeah, it doesn't work because then you don't have the facts based on it. You can't really argue the point because you're not.
You don't care. You don't really care.
No.
Yeah.
Like stuff to argue about something that you don't really care about. Like the greatest think about stuff in history, right? Like if they weren't really passionate about civil rights, it wouldn't have passed. Like you got to really be passionate about something to argue it properly.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, because I mean, and that's what like I said, that's what we do with this podcast is we're going to have genuine conversations. We may take a realistic approach, try to take the fan goggles off because there are so many podcasts out there, and we know that there's a lot of similarities. It's a lot of fans that set these up, but it's we do have goals to try to get to follow a similar path to what you did, and that's what part of this is for. But it's also to look at things in a more realistic manner, reading beat reporters' articles and looking at stories and why they're happening. I mean, you look at the Cavs, people want to just blame one person, and that's why they go after Collin Sexton.
Well, it was Beeline. He's gone.
Right.
Now it's the Sexton.
Yeah.
First it was Ty Lue. And
Oh, and I was willing to
I know you were. Yeah.
Oh, man.
You were
I used
all
to
on
go
that.
at everybody on the Ty Lue, all the Ty Lue haters out there.
Well, of course, Larry Drew. I mean, I don't know if Paulus has told you if you've heard kind of the reason for our name is because of Larry Drew.
The voice.
Yes,
that's
right. He was the voice.
Yeah.
I'm not the coach, I'm the voice.
But it seems like it kind of ebbs and flows between the coach and being transitioned out to Collin. But this year we know that there was deep-rooted issues with the veterans and how they approach Beeline and how he was able to connect or lack thereof with those veteran players and the message and those veterans. Of course, they were part of the NBA culture with LeBron here, where they thought that and they knew that they could just turn it on when they needed to, and they would get to the finals. They would have an opportunity at a championship because they had that guy on the team. Guess what? That guy's not here, and it's a different process to get back to NBA relevancy, and everybody just kind of wants to find that one person on the team instead of looking at the actual issues and how deep that they go when people are telling you these things are happening. This is why this team is where they're at 17-45 on the season.
Yeah, when Beeline came in, he was, I guess for lack of a better term, a strict coach, which I'm 40 years old. Every coach was strict, when I started playing sports and stuff. That's just kind of how it was. And evidently that's not it in the NBA anymore, right? They're like, no, we need to feel like you care and about what we want to run and the stuff. Well,
Beeline also didn't have, the proper NBA voice itself. I mean, he had never been in the NBA himself, so he didn't have that sort of pedigree that I think a lot of the players really respected. I think that the younger players might have looked at it differently, but you're not going to come to a Kevin Love who's been in the league for 10, 11 years and be like, hey, why don't you run this little triangle offense that I got going on?
You know what, though? I would love for Kevin to be humble enough to go,
I would love that as well. I would love that as well, but some people just aren't like that.
Obviously.
Right. Yeah. It's unfortunate, but it's kind of where some of these players are right now. Yeah. Kevin Love especially.
Yeah, and, JB Bickerstaff, you noticed an immediate change in the team, but you always do that typically when there's a coaching change. Guys get reinvigorated. They go out. They play really well. What if the Cavs lost 4 in a row, if I'm not mistaken?
Three in a row right now.
I'm
so they're what, 3?
Because they played.
I think they're 3. Right. Yeah.
Actually, I think it is 4 because I think they started out 3-1 after the All-Star break, and everybody's kind of really getting back into it. Now they're 3-5. They've lost 4 in a row, but played better again because they played a lot better competition, and they've played better against those teams. You've seen better effort out there, which for a team that's lower in the NBA, that's kind of what you expect. You're going to get that maximum effort. You just don't have that enough talent. And now with all the injuries, they're definitely limited on who they can go to at the end of games, and guys playing a lot of minutes that don't typically play, like Delly, and not having an impact on the game. So that's where the Cavs are. And to kind of close this conversation out and get into some other stuff, where do you see the future of this Cavs team going, and how long of a process will this be based on what they've done so far?
Yeah, I think it's going to take a few years. I think it's going to take a while. Right now, the Cavaliers are acquiring assets. I even believe if they have a chance to draft LaMelo and he's there, you take him, even though you got guards everywhere.
Right.
It just doesn't matter. You got to take the best players until you find that guy you could build around. It could be Collin, it could be Kevin Porter Jr. They're a few years away from figuring that out. So it's going to be a while. I'd say if you're a Cavs fan, just enjoy the process. I know that's another dirty word in Cleveland. Just enjoy that, but it's going to be a while. It'll be a while before the Cavs are back in it.
Yeah, it just takes me back to those days back at the Gund Arena with the blue seats and DeJuan Wagner and leading up to that year before LeBron got here, and kind of those types of years where it was just constant and trying to figure out a direction. And I think that's what this Cavs team is still doing with this.